Hello everyone and welcome to today's lecture. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be discussing basically what we're going to be doing this week. Specifically, we're going to focus on a couple topics. One topic we're going to be going over is animation with the human IK. I'm going to go over some elements that we went over last semester, but probably could use a little bit of a refresher. So that's one of the reasons why I do want to go over it. I also want to explain how we're going to bring in your character, or should I say your background with your character, and how to work with that safely. A bit of a heads up when you're doing that. I usually recommend trying to bring the background into the character itself, and should you need to make adjustments or changes, it would be best to do that with your background. Mostly because if you do it with the character and you try and scale that, you run the risk of some odd inconsistencies happening. So in short, it's not a good idea. But again, we'll talk about that in another video. Finally, we're going to discuss about making a 10-second animation. Specifically, what I'd like everyone to do first is I want everyone to make a storyboard so that everyone can basically get a clue on how they're going to approach that. Now, one other thing I do want to remind everybody is if you have not got back to me, if you're going to be graduating this semester, I seriously need you to get back to me as soon as possible. So please, and I'll remind everyone in the message as well for tomorrow as well. But I need to know that because depending on if anyone is graduating, will determine on how much time you have for this assignment. So please do keep that in mind. Now, in terms of the topics, we're going to talk about animating with the human IK and blend shapes, as I said before, importing your scene, some tips and tricks, and making a short storyboard. Now, in terms of the actual assignment, this is what you're looking for. Import your scene with your characters. Make sure that this is a starting point for a future animation. So again, I'd recommend just getting the scene, make sure it's compatible and so on. Create a simple idle animation for your character standing still. And that could just be them either waiting cross-armed or just with their hands by their side. Whatever you want to do, just do your best to make them look natural. And create a storyboard using the template provided. And the template can be found up here. I think that this is it. Yep, there we are. And the reason why I'm asking you to do the template is to just keep it organized and so on. Now, since I want to give everyone feedback, this assignment is going to be due May 1st. If everyone works on this today, you should be in good shape. I will accept this until tonight in terms of what's due today. But this assignment, it is due May 1st, 9 a.m. so that I can give you some feedback as soon as possible. And if there's any issues, I can let you know immediately. So I just want to make sure that that is a thing. And that's pretty much the long and short of all the announcements. Now, when it comes to the storyboards itself, I'm figuring that most of you probably have heard of a storyboard before, but you might not know exactly the quality I'm looking for. I'm not looking for anything that's going to be horribly complicated. Even something like this might be a little bit more complex than I'm looking for. Same thing here. Basically, I'm looking for something that you could probably make very quickly. If you took more than 5 to 10 minutes per area, you probably took a little too long. I appreciate the detail put in that you might be doing for that, but I just want something very quick. Overall, this shouldn't take you more than maybe 2 hours at the very most. If it's 2 hours and you only have one sheet, you might want to go a little bit. You might want to just move on if you can. But anyways, important elements that I'm looking for this, and this is the reasons why I showed this here, is basically actions that your character is going to be doing. As you can see here, this has a lot of information for the actors. Any kind of movement your character is going to be doing, or the cameras, that could be helpful too. And any kind of background elements. Again, I'm looking for the background elements more for establishing shots, like what we have over here. So that in itself probably could be a simple 1 to 2 seconds right there. So for a 10-second animation, the establishing shot not only gives you a little bit more time, but it also is a good place for your audience to kind of adjust to where they're going to be coming in. So in short, these are pretty important. So that's pretty much it, at least in terms of this. Now, one thing I would recommend you do is there's another little PDF that I left here. Let's see. Yep. It's a little storyboard handout I provided for everybody. And the purpose of this is so that everyone can have their view, as you can see. And if there's any kind of special camera movement, this will be able to help me get an idea of what you want to do with this. And I'm also going to be teaching a little bit, or reviewing is probably better said, how you could do some simple camera movement to help with your animation. So a little bit of review here. The panning is basically when you're rotating left or right. The tilting is when you're moving your camera up and down. And again, the arrows over here can help with the storyboard direction, give me an idea of what you want to do. Rolling basically rotates the camera side to side in terms of the camera going this way. The dollying, that basically is moving physically the camera forward and back. Tracking is going side to side physically with the camera but not rotating. Craning is going up and down like this. And again, the views look like so. It's usually good to have a guide like this. This is the guide I'm going to be using if any of you are having any kind of camera movement. And zooming, I don't think anyone's going to be going with zooming. In fact, I prefer that you don't at this time, but at least you should know what it looks like. Now, the aspect ratio we're going to be using is going to be the HDTV, which is going to be something like this. And again, I'll give everyone a little bit of review on how to work with that when we get to this part. But some things I want you to consider is basically what kind of shots you're going to be using. Now, the wide shot over here, this would be good for any kind of long-range shots, and also really good for establishing shots. Most likely, unless you have an exterior, you're not going to probably need this beyond an establishing shot. Now, the other ones that are probably going to be the most useful for you is going to be the medium shot, medium long shot, or medium shot over here. You might be using the long shot if you want to show a lot of action for your character, but I don't mind if people try and do animation that might be more of a day-by-day thing. But remember, it's a chance for you to experiment a little bit with your character. So that's pretty much the long and short of at least what you can do over here. But again, this is one of the reasons why it's a good idea to have at least a good foundation for the backgrounds, so you know exactly what you could put into your framing and so on. And again, just some other helpful tips that will hopefully be helpful for you, specifically any kind of movement that needs to be done with the frames, or alternatively with your character as well, so that basically I'll have an idea of what you're going to be doing, and more importantly, you have an idea of what you're going to be doing. So that's the long and short of everything I wanted to show, at least here for the storyboards. So this video is going to end at this time, but what I'd like to do is I'm going to basically show the rest of my lecture in the second video, just so we could stay on task and everything like that. So I'll see everyone very shortly, and hopefully you found this as good review.